I went through this whole like branding phase where I was looking for ways to kind of help identify my type. And one of the things that I did was I actually, with the other actor, went out to the streets and polled strangers.
Hi, I'm Alex DeLerma, and this is the Cinema Gym. If these videos are helping you and you want to see some more, please like, subscribe, comment. Let's keep this thing going. So, Bill Castrogiovanni. How many years were we together in the Cinema Gym studio?
That's a good question. I'm going to say at least 10 years, right?
Yeah. You would pop in and out, and you were doing improv, and you're a really well-rounded actor.
Yeah, but I will also say that you were instrumental in me coming back to professional acting after so many years.
I forgot about that.
You forgot about that, but you were the one who was like, where's your reel? And I'm like, I'm just doing this for fun. And you're like, what do you mean you're doing this for fun?
And the reason that made no sense to me is because you're so freaking talented.
Thanks. So,
Bill Castrogiovanni, you've got a film. What's the name of it?
It's called Jurassic Reborn. It's a mockumentary from Asylum, who's known for their mockumentaries. It's me and a group of scientists running from dinosaurs. It's gonna be a tremendous amount of fun.
And the date it's going to start streaming?
June 27th. It's a lot of fun, and most importantly, and I think one of the reasons why I'm here, is that the role that I'm playing in this is so the types of role that I go after and chase aggressively.
The topic is, what is your type? I think that's a challenge not only for entry-level actors, first-year actors, people who've been around for 10 years. Mm-hmm. I struggled with it when I was an actor, and I was in for a while, but I really resisted the idea of, what's my type? What do you mean? I'm an actor. I can play anything.
No, that's the thing. When you come out, when you first get into this, part of the joy is being able to transform into someone that's completely not you, right? Mm-hmm. And so naturally you think, well, I can play this, I can play that, but that's not always how the industry sees you, especially when you start out.
Yeah. If I could have a conversation with my younger self, I would say, listen, stop fighting the fact that people see you as a funny guy, even though you want to grow as a dramatic actor. I was going to be like the next whatever, Al Pacino at that time. And so it annoyed me that if I got an agent or a manager, if they saw me in a play and I was the funny guy, they were like, you're the funny guy. And I'm like, but I want to do some real acting because I was a knucklehead and I didn't understand.
But
that is real acting. It just wasn't hard for me, so I didn't see it as real acting.
There are dramatic actors out there who are like, oh my gosh, playing in a comedy is real acting because that's so far against who I am,
Right. It's not that one is harder than the other. It depends on what your own natural abilities are. And mine was always the funny bone. Yours is too, but you also... Yeah, you're it's funny. I think I was one of the people that started comparing you to Steve Carell in trying to help you find your type, one of your types or personas. And there's some similarities there, not only because of the improvisational skills and, being able to have comic timing, but you would do dramatic scene work in class, G.I. Jane with Angelica Amore. And you guys, you guys killed it.
Yeah. Thank you. I've often been compared to Steve Carell. I always sometimes will bill myself as a low rent Steve Carell. Mm-hmm.
Is that your key? Sorry for interrupting.
No.
Is that your? So would you say that's your main type for comedy? It's the eccentric nice guy.
Yeah, I get. I usually go for one of three things. I'm either the intelligent outsider, the quirky or whimsical best friend, or the level-headed everyman. And those are the sort of three things that I tend to go out for, either in drama or comedy. But there's a heavy overlap with the types of roles that Steve Carell will book, and so I try to follow his playbook to an extent to try to get more work for myself.
And did agents and managers tell you what your type should be for comedy, for drama, for commercials, or did you discover that on your own?
It's a little bit of both. I went through I went through this whole like branding phase where I was looking for ways to kind of help identify my type. And one of the things that I did was I actually, with the other actor, went out to the streets and polled strangers. We had a little checklist of all these different adjectives and archetypes and age ranges, and we had people circle all of these, and then I added up.
So
which
would your
adjectives-
friend, sorry for interrupting,
No.
would your friend say, hey, take a look at this guy?
Yeah, I mean, that was a part of it, is that I
And
was
then
not
give him
allowed
a-
to speak.
And then give him a checklist and say,
Yep.
just look at him.
Just look at him.
What do you
just
think?
Based on looks.
Like George Clooney type?
Not so much.
No. Right? Nice guy? Yeah. What
Yeah,
else?
I definitely get nice guy. I get there were things in there that surprised
Quirky?
me. Quirky, absolutely.
Smart?
best friend, intelligent, academic. One word that surprised me that they would see it on me, but intuitively I knew it was true, was adventurous. Because outside of acting, I do a lot of I like to tell people I've gone searching for the Loch Ness monster. I've climbed volcanoes that were exploding,
Yeah.
and all sorts of weird things. And people picked up on that just by looking at me,
Just from your energy.
just from my energy.
Something else I guess people could do is, have you ever had the experience of your family or friends watching a TV show? And when I was younger, I would get this. They go, "You're like Kramer." And I was so insulted when I should have been complimented.
Right.
Like, that's a gold mine.
Yeah,
And he's a brilliant Michael Richards was a really brilliant performer.
I've gotten Kramer. I've sometimes gotten George Costanza. I also get Ross or Chandler, from Friends. So I gravitate between those.
That could help an actor too. Really listen to your friends and family. If they're telling you things like, "Oh, you know who you remind me of?" And you could follow up with, "Well, do you mean physically and or personality-wise? My energy, my time." And then when you narrow that down, you know now how to market yourself. And believe me, I hated the business side of the business, but it's essential because you got to get your foot in the door. How do you get your foot in the door? By essentially being something that an agent or manager can market, that they can say, "You got to see this guy.
Another
He's
thing.
perfect for X."
Another thing you can do in that same space, is if you don't know your type at all and you just want to see how people see you, is submit yourself for everything. Any physical type that you match on
Actors Access?
Yeah. Submit and see which auditions you get from your headshots. And you'll start to see commonalities between them. Like, oh, I'm getting a lot of auditions for the best friend or leading man.
That's a good test to see if you have a good headshot or a bad headshot, an effective headshot. And we were talking earlier, I'm always someone who feels like, actors are usually struggling financially. Don't spend a lot of money on a photographer right out of the gate. Really do a lot of the things that we're talking about to discover what is your type, and then do some test shots in wardrobe. You had talked about looking at Steve Carell in some early Steve Carell projects to see, well, what kind of wardrobe does he wear for that type of character?
Yeah, I think I pulled like a screen grab from Little Miss Sunshine, and I was like,
wow.
I'm gonna use that wardrobe, and I'm gonna kind of when I prep for my headshots, as I'm sure you've told your actors, you try to bring some backstory or previous moment to it, right? And so I prepped on that and let that sort of kind of influence the shot that was taken.
Yeah. And then, once you've done these sort of pre-visualization and test shots, you can send them around to friends, preferably friends who are in the business in some way, shape, or form. Your mom's going to love every picture that you're in.
And
But you want
sometimes your
people
mom's going to
who-
love the pictures that, you look, the nicest in, as opposed to the one that really
Yes.
kind of captures your personality.
Yeah, and from there, now shoot some professional headshots. And from there, as Bill had said, now submit those headshots, on Actors Access. If you're non-union and you're starting out, student films, experimental projects, whatever it is, just to get, so you don't even have to take the audition. Maybe you don't like the project, but you're like, people like me as the quirky, eccentric guy. And from there, Once you have found your key persona or your type in comedy, in drama, in commercials, you've got those 3 things nailed down. You can branch out, but at least now you've got a direction. Start booking things, making some money. Then people will listen and allow you to expand more now that they've seen A, people love you, they want to pay for your talents. And if you are truly talented and you keep working on the craft like Steve Carell did, well, then you cross over into bigger and better things.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Awesome. Hey, man, thanks for coming on the gym.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right.
Take care.
The Cinema Gym is all about helping you transition from the stage to the screen. If you're interested in classes, seminars, or private coaching, you can visit the website. Hope to see you in the gym soon.
TheCinemaGym.com for virtual one-on-one coaching for camera.